Okay, today we're making a gluten-free pizza crust, and you get all your ingredients together. I've already pre-prepped everything, measured it out, so it'd be easier to go along through here, and this will be a little bit quicker. You start out with, you get 1 cup of white rice flour, 1 cup of brown rice flour, and 1 cup of tapioca flour. You're going to mix those together, and to that you're going to add a teaspoon of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. You're going to add a teaspoon of xanthan gum, and you're just going to mix this up really well, so that way everything's kind of blended together. And then we're going to set this aside, and we're going to take 1 cup of warm water. We're going to take 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast and add those in there. And to proof the yeast, I like to add a little bit of sugar. That's just like a pinch. And we're also going to add just a little bit of honey. Okay. Oops. Now that we're going to mix up. And we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes. So that way it starts foaming up and activating the yeast, and the sugar helps kind of proof that along with the honey. So, but we're going to let that sit for about 5 minutes, and then when it gets ready to go, I'll come back and we'll start mixing things together. Okay, now our yeast is ready, and we're going to add that to the flour mixture. And I always try to add my olive oil to that, usually just a couple tablespoons. That way all the liquids are already mixed together. And we're just going to stir that with a fork. We're going to add that right into the flour mixture. We're going to add an egg to that. And we're going to just keep on mixing that up until everything is nice and smooth. This isn't like regular dough. It's a little bit grainy, but it's got a good flavor to it, and it tastes just like pizza. Okay, now that we got that kind of mixed together a little bit, I'm going to finish it off by hand. Just works out a whole lot easier that way. Get everything incorporated. You could use a dough hook, but I find this is quicker, less mess to clean up when you're done. You gotta wash your hands anyway, so might as well get them floury. Just keep on pushing everything together to incorporate it and get everything wet and moist. It'll keep on breaking up on you, but the more you work with it, the more doughy it gets. And if it seems like you're not being able to incorporate everything the way that you want, then just add some more olive oil to it, which I'm going to do now because it is a little dry. It's getting better now. But it'll be a real stiff dough. Getting closer. This takes quite a while to make this dough. I think I'm going to have to add a little bit more olive oil here. There we go. It's getting better. A little bit of a workout for your hands, but it's well worth it. Okay, now I'm going to form this into a ball. Make sure I get all my ingredients from the bottom of the bowl all together there. And then we're going to take this, after I get it into this ball, we're going to leave it sit in the pan. We're going to cover it with plastic wrap, and we're going to let it sit in a nice warm place for about an hour. There we go. Okay, we'll be back in an hour to do something else with it. Okay, while the pizza crust is still rising from the yeast having to activate all the way through and everything, we're going to go ahead and make the pizza sauce. And in order to do that, I'm going to need 1 can of tomato paste, an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I need to have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I need to have a teaspoon of garlic powder. I have a teaspoon of oregano. I have a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I have a teaspoon of parsley and 2 teaspoons of sweet basil, which is really going to make this taste really, really good. Okay, I also have in my food processor, I have a medium onion, and I have 3 cloves of garlic that I just went ahead and just processed up. We're going to turn around and come over here, and we're going to start this pan up on like about a medium high. To that I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil, just enough to coat the bottom. We may add more here in a bit depending on how thick my sauce comes out. Then we're going to take our onions. Oh, got to save those. You want all this good flavor in there, every bit you can get. Okay, we're going to drop those into the oil. It's just starting to shimmer a little bit. And that's what you want. You want these to cook down, but not completely. They're already mushed to begin with. We're just going to make them just a little bit mushier. Yeah, you can hear them starting to sizzle in there. Good stuff. Okay. Next, we're going to take and just stir them up just a little bit. And this will make your house stink like onions and garlic. But it's good. That's got to cook for about 2-3 minutes, maybe 5 at the most. But we're going to get the onions cooked down a little bit. and get them to where the onion and the garlic kind of blend together. Just keep stirring them. And we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, we're back to the onions cooking down. And they're getting there. They're getting quite bubbly and steamy and letting off a lot of that good aroma. Alright, to that, we're going to turn our heat down to about just a little bit under medium. And we're going to turn around and we're going to start out by adding our basil. Because that's the most, and we want to get the most flavor out of that. And then our parsley. And I add a little bit extra that garlic powder just to give it a little bit more of a garlicky flavor. Okay, I'm gonna mix those together and let them cook there for another 30 seconds to a minute, just to release the oil. Helps release the flavors. Kind of looks like a greenish colored paste by the time we got this going here. Okay. Smelling very good. Okay, to that, I'm going to add my can of tomato sauce. My tomato paste, which usually, I didn't do it this time, but usually I cut the top and the bottom. Oh yes, I did. I just needed it to cut through now. Get that lid off of there. Give it a few taps. While the plant hunkers down from the season. And I'm just going to scrape this into there. Risk everything to get it. But come September 1st, when the golden root sprouts, they'll be back. We are the things of legends and myths. Boogeyman. Next. Yeah, get all that good flavor in there. Okay, then I'm going to add my brown sugar to that. And I'm going to give everything a really good stir. Around here, they call it the Thunderbird. Keep going out there and keep trying to find those pieces of the puzzle that are missing. And there are some really. We're going to continue to let that cook for about 10 minutes uncovered. And if it looks like it's a little thick, just add some more olive oil. Olive oil don't hurt a thing. Get that stirred in there. A state rich in history, the Philadelphia metropolitan area is considered the birthplace of American democracy. It's also famous for its beautiful natural surroundings and for what is the center of America's steel industry. Today, it's rural air. Got nice, smooth, creamy richness to it. Okay, so we're just going to let that sit for about 10 minutes and just let everything kind of melt together. And then after that, we're just going to take it off the heat, let it sit aside. We're going to wait for our pizza dough to finish rising, and then when that's done, then we're going to turn around and start making a pizza. Okay, I'm back, and now we're going to start putting the pizza together. It's been an hour since the dough has started to rise. Notice we're just having another shitty day in paradise. Let me set that aside. Get the dough. Okay, it's been sitting an hour. I'm going to crank my oven up to 425. I got a pizza stone, and on that pizza stone, we're not going to put any oil. We're just going to put, this is pretty much just corn flour. I'm just going to sprinkle that around, and it's going to give it a nice little base to it. I got about 2 teaspoons here, and I'm pretty much just going to use all of it. And then we just take that and just kind of get it to where it covers right up to the edges. Okay, next we're going to take the dough, we're going to lift it out of the pan. It kind of falls apart. It is kind of a crumbly dough, but if you kind of help put it back into a ball. Okay, I'm going to set him down on top of there and kind of smush him out a little bit. Wash my hands off. And then next, we're going to cover this with plastic wrap. I usually use 2 sheets because it's a fairly good size pizza stone. There we go. 1 piece. Get that kind of laid up flat. As everybody knows, plastic wrap is a pain in the butt. Okay, then we're going to take a rolling pin and we're going to start working that dough out to the edges. You can do this by hand, however I find that it does turn out a whole lot better using a rolling pin. It allows you to work that dough up to the edges a whole lot better. Lift it a couple times there, and just to get everything to stay together. Okay. Alright. Now you get it up to the edges. I just get rid of my plastic wrap. And I just take my hands and go around the edges to kind of bring everything back together. If it looks like it's going to have a crack or something, just keep working with it. You'll get it to stay together. Okay. Push that in and down. Okay. Now I'm going to leave this sit for about 10 minutes uncovered, and then we're going to come back and we're going to par bake it for 12 minutes, and then after it's par baked for 12 minutes we'll start actually making a pizza. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. I'm going to take this and put it into the oven, and like I said, we're going to par bake it for about 12 minutes, and when it's done we're going to start adding all the toppings to it. But look at that, beautiful. You see how the little dimples in there from the yeast still working. It's going to turn out really good. timer. And we'll see you in 12 minutes. Okay, the pizza crust is just about done. As soon as the timer goes off, I'll pull it out. But in the meantime, I chopped up some onions. I cut up some pieces of Canadian bacon. I've got some bacon over here I chopped up into little pieces, and some pepperoni. And I've got some green and orange peppers in there. We have Parmesan cheese. You can use the fresh kind where you grate it. I like this, it's simpler. I've got my pizza sauce that we made earlier. And I've got some mozzarella cheese. This is going to be a really, really good pizza. As soon as it comes out of the oven, it should be any second now. Waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it, waiting for it. Should be any second. There it is. Okay, we're going to pull this out. Steams up your glasses a little bit. You see it's just barely starting to brown, but it's starting to crack a little bit. Don't worry about that. That's normal. That's the way it's supposed to do. If I wouldn't have put that egg in there, it would have been worse. I've tried a bunch of different recipes, and so far this is the best one so far. Okay, we're going to start out by just dumping a bunch of this on here. The sauce. Oh, this is just good stuff here. Don't be stingy. You can make more. Get that spread around there. Gonna have to have some more. And usually I don't use all of this on this, and I'll have some left over, and if you're gonna make another pizza like within a week, it's still good. Get her smothered around there. Leave the edges just a little bit to have the cheese something to grab a hold of. Okay. Then next, I'm gonna douse this with Parmesan cheese. Just cover it up. Parmesan's good for you. Okay. Then I'm going to take my pepperonis, and I'm going to go around the edges, get that going. Work my way into the center here. Okay. There's my pepperoni. Then I'm going to take my bacon that I cut up, and I'm kind of separate it up a little bit here. We're going to go around and layer that. This turns out really, really good. Especially if you like pepperoni and bacon and your peppers and your onions. I mean, you can put on here anything and everything that you want, including the kitchen sink if you can get it in there. And this is about maybe 4 or 5 pieces of bacon that I just chopped up after I cooked it. Get those last few pieces out of there. There we go. Okay. I always put all my meat on first and my vegetables on top. The Canadian bacon. You can put ground beef on here, you can put ground sausage. I'd suggest cooking the sausage first and draining off the grease, otherwise you're going to have a really greasy pizza. But this seems to work out pretty good. I'm a big fan of bacon, no matter if it's Canadian, American, hell, it can be Jewish, I don't care. Okay. And this right here is about 4 slices of Canadian bacon. Okay. And some out there towards the edges, we have a bunch here. So we're not going to get cheated on Canadian bacon, that's for sure. Getting closer. Just a few more pieces to go. Okay. Next we're going to move on to the onions. Kind of get them broken up a little bit. You put as many or as few as you like. Go. There's the onions. Next we're going to do the green and orange peppers, and I'm going to kind of mix them up a little bit here, and I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top, kind of give it a little bit more color. Oop, got one trying to escape there. Okay. And that is the last of our peppers. Now, starting to get hungry, aren't you? Well, hang on, we're almost done. Okay. Oh, also, you turn your oven up to 450 for this last stage of it. We're going to get this mozzarella cheese on here. If you make a mess, you can always clean it up. I never worry about it. Just layer that cheese on there. Don't be afraid to go right out to the edges. Get some onto that crust so that it adheres to it like glue. Okay. This was about a cup and a half of, maybe 2 cups of mozzarella. That's plenty. Okay. And just when you think you're done, we're going to add more Parmesan. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is going to be really good and cheesy. Being gluten-free, you have to find ways to find things that taste a whole lot better, because a lot of stuff gluten-free is not good. But this is excellent. Okay, now we're going to take it and slide it into the 450 oven for another 12 minutes. Set my timer, and we'll see you in 12 minutes. Okay, our timer's gone off, and so now we're going to go ahead and pull this baby out of the oven and see what it looks like. Ooh, look at that. There's a nice gluten-free pizza deluxe. Okay, I'm going to let this sit for about 10-15 minutes so that way everything kind of cools down a little bit, because the cheese is bubbly still and hot, and if I cut it, it's just going to melt back together and it's going to be a pain to cut. So I'm just going to leave it sit for a minute. We'll come back in a few minutes and I'll cut it and we'll check it out. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes and as you see, it's beautiful. Louie, come here Louie. Come on, jump up. Yep, corgis love pizza. I don't know if you can see him or not, but he's over here just waiting for me to cut it. And the nice thing about this pizza too is that when you put it, see how thick that crust is? Look at that. Still steaming. It's got the nice brownish color to the top of it, golden brown. But it's pretty simple. You can pack it up. I always, if I do go on road trips with it, I take and put it in a container. And then I line that with wax paper or parchment paper and then stack the layers in between. It's really good for road trips. Try it sometime. I have, my oldest sister calls it shoebox pizza because when she came here to Texas one year for a camping trip, we didn't have any containers to put the pizza into to take with us. And so we had a shoebox because she likes to shoe shop. And so we called it shoebox pizza. But there you go, gluten-free shoebox pizza.